We should be live. That's cool. Okay, hello, my name's Dan. I'm here with Ben as a host.
What's up?
This is Ratchet Deadlocked. I'm going to go ahead and load up the file that we're going to use. Timing starts when we pick the difficulty, so not on the loading screen. I'll get right into it because we're already technically a minute or two. We might as well go. So, I'll count you down, Ben. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay.
Good luck on this run.
Thank you. So, this is Ratchet Deadlocked. We've already skipped something. Normally, Clank tells you how to move the camera, how to shoot and jump, and all of that. We've started a save file in third-person mode. That skips this tutorial stuff for reasons that I don't fully understand. I'm going to swap to lock strafe because I can't stand playing in third person for more than a minute or so. But we've already saved a little bit of time before we've gotten to any real speed tech. So,
Plus, it's a bone to throw to the third-person chads.
Sure. So, unlike the first 3 Ratchet and Clank games that are a little more open in terms of level design and a little more movement focused, Ratchet Deadlocked is a game about cutting corners, especially in any percent. Now, sometimes that's small things. We walk slowly, and instead of walking along here, we can jump into the edge and it'll teleport us to the middle of this platform. Sometimes it's much bigger corners, especially towards the end of the game. One of the first bits of movement tech, speed tech that we're going to be using all throughout the run, from the first mission to the last one, is called state cancelling. If you go into the control options menu, Ratchet's state will be reset to neutral. You'll be standing on the ground, falling in the air. Ratchet has a mid-air attack where you go up and down, like that. If you go up and then state cancel in the air, you'll be falling and free to do that attack again and cancelled again over and over and over, right? So you can go to places like this that are too big for Ratchet to jump across, go in and out of the menu like that, and just sort of get theoretically infinite height and distance if you do it enough times. It's slow to do that, to go in and out of the menu so often, so we want to do it in places like that where the level designers have said, hey, this gap's just a little bit big for Ratchet to jump across. And it lets us save some time. There's some combat that we didn't have to do there, some checkpoints that weren't quite set right. Sometimes that has carry-on effects. We don't have to go over there and turn that bolt into the tutorial. We just jump in here, and it takes us to the end here, where we just kill this turret, and that's all we need to actually do to clear the mission. Which is exactly what I meant by cutting corners. We don't have to tick every box along the way, we just do the last box that the game actually cares about. There's a number of dread challenges that we play to get dread points to progress. There's a set route because we don't have to play every one, we only need enough points to keep going. And that route has been set in stone for years, more or less, with only some minor changes here or there. The gimmick on this mission is that health drains as we go, but we're playing on couch potato difficulty, which is as easy as it gets. So we don't really have to worry about that. I'm low on ammo. There we go.
For the sake of chat, I just want to say we call this game Gladlocked, me and Dan, to make up for the fact that it's Gladiator here, not Deadlocked.
It's Gladiator in some places, Deadlocked in others, and Gladlocked if you want the worst of both worlds. The game is not treating me well with ammo today, which is a bit unexpected, but we're off to a good start with marathon luck. It's better to use the wrench if you run out of ammo, just to get more ammo, because that way you're not making the potential next ammo you find, like your pistols or something, right? It's going to do some sort of weird things to my XP, which is going to be fun, but not too big an issue. The XP is up the top left of the screen. Weapon XP is very important for us to keep an eye on. I'm going to take the time to grab some ammo here.
Basically, all of any percent is XP routing, which is why we don't want our dual Vipers of Shame.
Yeah, so we're going to go back into this challenge here, shoot this pile of enemies, and I'm way behind on XP, so never mind. Normally that's where we get the shotgun from level 1 to level 2, but because I had ammo problems that I've almost never had before, it was a bit weird. But whatever, we're moving on to Catacomb 4. This is the first main planet. Each mission has a bunch of skill points. Skill points in the first 3 games were kind of more like your classic trophies that there's like 30 of them throughout the game, and they're just weird little fun odds and ends. Ooh, I missed that dropship too. My XP. My goodness.
Rip your XP route.
At least it doesn't matter much with the shotgun. The mines are what we really care about.
The mines are what we care about.
Skill points in this game, there's 15 per planet, and they're worth money. So we really do want to get them as we go. They're not worth much money at the start of the game, but this level, there's that idea skill point there. And it's worth like 1,400 bolts. And on this planet, we really, really care about money.
Yeah, the first 3 planets of the game have a very tight money route.
They definitely do. We're just going to jump across this chasm instead of bothering to turn all 3 bolts and extend the bridge. This is one more example where we don't have to tick all of the boxes along the way, we just have to get to the end of the level. And that great big beam of light there is where we're going. We're shooting these jackpot crates so that they drop money. We don't actually have to go over and collect it, it'll sort of vacuum it all up for us at the end, which is handy. We don't have to swing shot over there, we just shoot it, whoop, or we can swing shot over there anyway. And then we get to the Landstalker. So this was a PlayStation 2 game, they all sort of had to do a little bit of everything, so there's 4 different vehicles in this game. None of them are very good, this is the worst and the slowest. We have to side jump the whole way because it's the fastest way to move in the Landstalker. And we're trying to make a point of taking out a couple of drop ships and this turret over here. Not because they really pose any danger, but because they drop a whole bunch of money for us. Like 1,000 bolts or so each, which is worth something. I think we need to get to around 35 by the start of the next planet, but every 35. Mission is also worth a certain number of bolts. So even if we aren't quite at 35 by the time we finish the last mission, it's not too big an issue. And so this mission is just combat. Each planet has sort of a mix of different styles of mission and different objectives. This is a combat mission, we can't skip to the end, we've just got to keep going until we get to round 5 and finish round 5. Enemy spawn points are always set, with I think one exception way later in the game. So there's really no randomness and I know where to be for the most part. This would be a good time to squeeze out any early donations if we've got any.
We do have a donation, thank you,
That's
Dan.
good.
We have $25 from Harpseal2, who says, put my donation towards world's hardest game. I've got you, fam. Thank you, Harpseal, for your $25 dues. And I would like to remind people that if you're really enjoying this run, you can make Dan play this game 2-player co-op on his own by meeting the New Game Plus solo co-op bonus incentive, which needs another $205. So make sure you get your donations in.
This is Monuments of Death. This is the one optional grid challenge we're going to play here. So these 2 robots that you see flying around and shooting at enemies for me, they are the combat bots. They are meant to be helpful. They're not really. They do a lot of stuff that's just like, hey, bot, go place a bomb. Bot, go turn a bolt crank. Go pump an orb or something like that. This all just sort of winds up being the same thing. You tell a bot to go do a thing, and you have to protect them so that they don't die in the process, because if they die, you have to revive them, and that's slow. I'm going to deliberately shoot those guys, because the bots are going to get stuck otherwise. We don't have to walk through this tunnel. If we space your double jump right, you can sort of just jump up without actually having to hyperstack. In a case like that, where you've messed it up twice in a row, it's probably quicker to have hyperstack in the first place. But it's not too much of an issue. One of the bots is a little stuck down there. He'll teleport up here eventually, but they sort of do that. The bots can just be difficult. They don't always move the way you want. Sometimes they die when you don't expect them to. If you're playing this game... There's a single exception.
Right. If you're Swedish.
Well, yeah, but that's its own whole thing. But, yeah, so that's... I didn't check what our bot count was. We'll find out at the start of the next mission. But that was Catacomb 4. It's a surprise. And it's a good example of what a lot of the planets in this game look like. So again, we want 35,000 bolts. If we don't have it, I'll just walk through this mission, kill a couple of enemies, and then... yeah. So we're at 34.5, which was a little lower than normal. But one of these guys has XP, like...
You're low on bolts.
Yep. Actually, I'm just going to make a point of killing one of these guys so that we go up to 3 and then I'll restart so that we can not have like a landmine of 5 seconds later on. So, this is the Hunter Mine Launcher. It's meant to be sort of a strategic weapon. You place homing mines down, and they will home in on enemies. Yeah. We don't really use it as a strategic weapon. We just treat it as a grenade launcher. Shoot it off in that general direction, and have it explode on impact. 2, 3... Excuse me, don't run that way, please. There's a specific XP route. We know what enemies are going to show up where, and we want to go to level 2 right after this enemy, for example. That means it takes less mines to kill these big guys. Instead of 4 per Leviathan, it's only 3 now, which is good. We want to go up to the next level and the next mission and so on. This is going to be the last time we use the shotgun for general combat for a while. We just want to make sure we have enough ammo in the mine launcher to take out this dropship that's going to spawn.
Yeah, because there's a pretty cool tech that we'll be able to do with the landmines once we get them to level 10.
Yes, we want to be leveling these for like the rest of the run.
And there's a specific point we want to get it to level 10 by.
Yes, and in general, it's nice to just have them at a higher level for combat reasons, because we've got mini-bosses and things, and it's nice to have the extra damage.
Yeah, it's a relatively high DPS weapon.
Yeah, definitely for this early stage of the game. We put 3 mines down here for that guy, and we'll level up, like so. 1 more level up screen. We don't really get to skip any of these for the landmines, which is a shame, but put those 2 down there. And there we go, we'll move on. We get ammo out of these crates. There's going to be a dropship flying past. He'll take a bit of damage when we take out those swarmers. The end of this mission has a big gate with more orbs for the bots to hack, but it's going to be a little bit quicker for us to just hyperstack over. The New Game Plus run goes over that swamp on the right there and hyperstacks the whole way through, but they've got charge boots, which we don't have yet, and the charge boots speed things up quite a lot. So it would take way too long. They have the ninja skin too. So New Game Plus just gets a little 20% movement boost, which is nice. This vehicle is the Puma. We're supposed to drive the Puma around and hit those 3 stars on the minimap to turn some bolt cranks to open the gates to the arena to go to the next mission and fight a mini-boss. That's slow, and we don't want to do that. We don't want to spend any more time having bots turn bolts. So we're going to drive up to the gate that we need to open, and we're going to not open it. We're going to drive the car, park it up next to it like that, hop out of the car, and it puts us inside the gate, which is nice. Jump over here and hit the end of the level. And then we've got an orb mission. A whole bunch of hacking, then the mini-boss will spawn in once all the orbs have been hacked. If you're playing the game casually, or if you've played the game casually in the past, you might remember there's a handy bot upgrade called the Shield Link. It protects your bots, makes them completely invincible, but one bot has to hold a shield for the other. Which means that they can't do things in parallel, right? And a mission like this would be twice as long, because your bots would only be doing half as much work. So our bots end up a little delicate for the sake of being able to do things faster. A couple mines there, and then at level 4 here, we want to start piling mines in the center, so that when the boss spawns in, there's hopefully a good number, and he jumps out immediately like that. And the bots have a nuke, a sort of a limit break style thing, that takes the boss out instantly before he gets to do any attacks. And then we end up in the last Dread Challenge. So this one's pretty straightforward. It's not very pleasant, but it's not overly complicated. You just have to try and move while rationing your mortar shots. They only charge up to 6 at a time, so you've got to charge, you've got to time it, you've got to not move too quickly, otherwise you've got to turn around and hit the Leviathans. It's all awkward and unpleasant. It's a horrible mission. The Leviathans are horrible
because they take about 3.5 mortar shots, which is not a nice divisible number.
But
whilst we're thinking about our horrible Leviathans, this is a fantastic time for donations.
It absolutely is.
We have a massive amount of love coming in for Deadlocked Co-op. Nice. We have $100 dues from Thomas, who says, "Best of luck, Dan. Donation towards Ratchet Clank solo co-op." Thank you so very much, Thomas, for your very generous donation. And we have $30 from Mobius, who'll be running up next. who
Yes, he
says,
will.
"Yo, Dan, put this towards New Game Plus co-op. Thank you, Mobius. I've got your back." That is gone straight there, which brings us way closer to being able to meet that incentive. So thank you, both of you, for those donations.
Yes, thank you very much. Okay, so that's Serathos done. We are on to Kronos. Kronos, I think, is the longest planet in the run, in this category at least, if only because at the end of this planet we get our charge boots and get a massive movement boost. We buy the shock mod here and we put it on all of our weapons. The game has pretty good in-depth weapon customization. Every time you level a weapon, you get an alpha mod slot, and alpha mods are just things like your ammo, your rate of fire, area of effect, stat boosts, basically. But every weapon also has an omega mod slot, and if you buy one omega mod, you can put it on as many weapons as you like. And that has some sort of big, substantial effect. Shock mod means when we hit an enemy, surrounding enemies will get damaged for a portion of the base damage. This is a high base damage weapon, which means that shock mod does a lot of damage to everything around, and it translates to a massive area of effect boost in practice. Which is great, because we can keep moving and keep dropping mines, and it'll take things out and get us lots of XP along the way. I don't have quite as much ammo as I'd like here, so I'm going to hit him twice and finish him off with the mines, so that I've still got at least one left. Because what he just did there was drop no ammo, which is absolutely rude. No.
Hey, this game, unlike some of the later Ratchet and Clank games, only drops experience on enemy death. So you are able to soften up some enemies with one weapon and then switch to the weapon that you want.
All that matters is what deals the finishing blow, so to speak. So we're still on XP pace, even though we were a little rough on ammo there for a minute. Even though the shotgun was not very cooperative earlier, the mines have been fine. This is our first mini-boss on this planet. This is Shell Shock. Shell Shock's whole deal is it is a not very subtle Arnold Schwarzenegger impression.
What?
2, 3, 4, 5, and that should be enough mines for him to run away, like so. We'll wait for a couple of his missiles to drop. Put one mine there, because we know enemies are going to be there in a minute. Blow him up. One mine there, one mine there. Grab some ammo. One dropship's going to come over here. You get the idea that, like, you know where enemies are going to spawn. Some there. Get to watch that mine explode. And we get to watch this mine explode. Like so. There we go. Softman says $20 and we'll change it to Gladiator on stream. Please change it to Gladlocked on stream. Like,
yes,
please.
I'll give you $50. Heck, I'll meet the Deadlocked co-op incentive right now if we can get it changed to Gladlocked on stream.
Please, please do. So this is a grind rail mission. That grind rail going behind the cathedral there is long and slow. So instead, we're going to go around here. A lot of these maps have been set up for both single player and multiplayer, and the more open multiplayer maps are like sort of closed off a little bit at a time. We started this planet over there and wandered around, and instead of going all the way around the cathedral the back way, we just go straight to this beam of light here. And even with the menuing and all that, it is still so much faster. Plus, grind rails just really aren't fun in this game, so it's a bonus to just be able to skip it.
Yeah, this is the dark days of bad grind rail design. They definitely got a much better feel for it by Rift Apart.
They definitely did. The lift here has a hitbox up the top that I assume is set up for if you fall off. But instead, you can just hyperstack up to it and get it to come down early, rather than waiting until you've killed all the enemies. And then you need to kill enemies as you go here, so that you spawn a dropship, which spawns the next dropship, which opens the gate, and so on, right? Now, you could just hyperstack over the gap to get to the gate, but we couldn't get through it, and going over would take way too long, unfortunately. Take this guy out. This guy in the turret is dead already. That's nice. 1, 2, 3, and we are very comfy for XP. We got to level 6 before going through the gate, so this is all good. Heaps of ammo as well. So we're going to drop 3 mines on this guy. 1, 2, 3. 3, countdown. Get through here, and if we're quick, we can get to this dropship. So, do we have any donations, real quick?
In a second, when I finish putting in my credit card, we'll have one from me.
Because I wondered if that might be the case.
No, I'll just plug who
Go for it.
Instead. We are Oz Speedruns. We do speedrunning events to raise money for charity. For ASM 2021, we're raising money for Beyond Blue, a charity promoting good mental health through the raising awareness and reducing of stigma around mental health issues. If you'd like to donate, the link to do so is donate.speedruns.com, or I'll chuck the donate link in chat.
Donate.ozspeedruns.com.
Yeah, that too. And I'll chuck the link in chat.
There we go. And that was Shell Shock. He spawned in, we killed him, he ran away. There wasn't very much interesting to say. And this is one more grind whale level that we still don't want to do. So it's still faster to just sort of climb the arena walls and go out of bounds. We are again going backwards through the level we just played. Over on ahead of us here is the lift that we spawned. And we just do some hyperstacking to wander across, save some time. There are different rhythms to your hyperstacking that you can use. This is a much bigger distance that we're crossing over here, but because it's largely downwards, we can just use a little bit of hyperstacking here and there to just take the edge off of our fall speed. So we can get across here in like 4 instead of, I don't know, the massive number that it would take to climb from down here to up there. And then we wander into the cathedral itself for the showdown with Shell Shock, the actual proper boss fight. It has 4 phases. We need to go and turn a bunch of bolt cranks and fight Shell Shock multiple times, and he will run away each and every time. Up into this little hidey hole up in the ceiling here. You probably get the idea already. We don't want to do that. This lamppost on our left is solid. If we hyperstack up high enough, we can land on it, jump, go up here to this little sort of decorative bit of geometry that's not meant to be platformed to. And if we go over the lamp, it means that if we drop the hyperstack input like just there, you don't fall all the way to the ground. And you can go up here like this, do some jumping to save yourself some time and effort, because you don't want to hyperstack all the way up that wall in front of us. It is very slow. So this is where Shell Shock goes to hide. He's not actually up here, of course. The game just spawns in an instance of Shell Shock when it needs. But we know he's going to spawn here, so we're 5, 6, 7, 8. We can leave him a little surprise. When the bots teleport down to me, his health bar will show up. He'll immediately start taking damage. We grab some ammo and we start spawning in mines so that we can take him out. And there we go.
Muck in chat says shout out to... Sorry, Mobius in chat says shout out to Muck's failed small mine clip route, and I say thank goodness that failed.
Thank goodness indeed. We'll talk more about mine clipping later on. We have charge boots now, which is great. This mission is a small enclosed space, which is not great, so we don't get to use the charge boots yet. But on the next mission, we will, on the next planet. The Dread
and
Challenge...
with that...
Sorry?
Sorry, I was just going to tell you that the layout has indeed been updated. We meant it. We're playing Gladlocked
perfect.
now.
Fantastic.
So, yes. There is a Dread Challenge route. We'll elaborate on that more in a moment, but I'll just read out the donos because we've got some. We have $20 from Paul Moore, who said, friendship ended with Deadlocked. Gladiator is now my best friend. Thank you, Paul Moore. We have $75 from Ben J. Lynn saying, change that name. Hashtag Deadlocked Solo Co-op. And we have $50 from El Supernova, who said, hit me with that Gladiator Solo Co-op, lads. So thank you very much.
Wonderful, thank you.
All of you.
You saw me looking at the floor there. That's because it does actually help reduce lag. The PS3 port that we're playing on is great in that the load times are fantastic, but it's a bit special as far as lag and frame rate issues, especially in co-op. It's a fun time.
I should also mention that we did, with those various donations, meet changing the name and solo co-op.
Fantastic.
So thank you, everyone, for both of those. So now we really want to see New Game Plus All Gold Bolts in Rift Apart.
Yes.
We want to make Mobius work to get that done. That is another $370. I know the Ratchet boys. We can do this, guys. Let's get it on. So yeah, anyway, we're back to Dread Challenges.
Yep, we are. This mission is a time combat challenge. We got to kill all the enemies in whatever the time limit is, I don't know. We know where all the enemies spawn, and we have mines that we can place in advance. So we do that. We place a bunch of things down, we sit and wait. The next mission is very movement intensive, and it's where we get to start showing off the charge boots. So you can cancel the charge boots in all sorts of different ways to keep your speed and get some more control. We can combine it with the hyper stacking, like over here, and we can go over this massive big distance in just like 3 or so hyper stacks instead of having to do, I don't know how many it would take. You can do that thing that I did with the quick select to cancel it out. On the next planet, we're going to get another weapon that we can use to do the same thing again. We deliberately didn't kill the enemies on that platform over there because they would have caused a soft lock in this mission, because we're skipping things and doing stuff that we're not really meant to the way the designers intended. So you can get to the end of this platform here, and if you've done something wrong way earlier in the mission just sort of won't end. You'll finish off all the enemies and it'll just sit here quietly.
Nice. I will take a second to also mention about hyperstacking. When doing ILs, because in this game there is an in-game timer, and so we have an extensive IL board for you to compete in. Whilst you're paused in the menu, it doesn't increment the in-game timer, and so you just hyperstack everywhere. For full run categories where you're doing things RTA, some of those IL strats aren't optimal, but some of them are, particularly in vehicle missions. You just always want to go for the IL strats in vehicle missions.
Yes, definitely. Mobius, wonderful Nexus and Rift Apart runner, holds every IL world record. Some of them tied, most of them untied. The ILs are a fantastic way to get into Deadlocked. Strongly recommend having a go, because there's some real fun ones that you can get some real fun times.
And if you want to get into Ratchet & Clank speedrunning, Deadlocked is one of the easiest games to get into from that standpoint too. There's only 3 major techs, and we're going to explain and show off all 3 of them. We've already shown off 2 of them.
Yep.
And they're all very easy to pick up. You can learn this game in an afternoon. But as Dan said multiple times, this is a game of shortcuts. Like, learning the game and mastering the game are 2 different things.
Yep. So that was the Avenger Tournament. Very movement focused, very combat focused. The Dread Challenge here, this is why we bought the wrench upgrade. This is a wrench only challenge. If we didn't buy the wrench upgrade, these one-hit kill enemies wouldn't actually die in one hit. So it is important that we don't forget to go to the vendor there, because otherwise it just makes this whole mission miserable. We use a combination of throwing the wrench and mid-air attacks and things like that, just to try and clear out the dropships before they spawn things, to minimize how much we actually have to run and get up in enemies' faces. Here and there we use the charge boots to get to the dropships before they spawn too many enemies.
Also, on the subject of this game being a really great place to start learning Ratchet & Clank, it's also incredibly accessible. All versions on the PS3 play at the same speed.
Yep.
It's advisable to play with your PS3 SSD modded, but you don't strictly have to. And so it's just a quick trip to the PlayStation Store and you're good to go.
Yes, definitely. And just as a little added bonus, if you're the kind of person that likes leaderboards, the leaderboards aren't hugely active at this point. It's not too difficult to get a competitive time.
Yeah.
I've got world record in all Exterminator cards at the moment, which is the big 100% category, but there's only like 4 runs on there in total, right? So,
yeah.
So we are on to Shah. Shah is a rough planet. First mission is great. First mission, we get to buy a new weapon. This is going to be the last weapon we buy. It is called the Scorpion Flail. It is one of my favourite weapons in the game. It lets us do that we just did, which is one more way of cancelling our charge boots. And it's a big melee flail thing. It's great. This next mission isn't good. We're meant to use the Landstalker. We can hop out, so it's fine. But everything still hits like a truck because it thinks we're in a tank. Game, what are you doing? And this mission, we might be about to crash here. We probably aren't about to crash here.
This is the worst mission in the game.
This is the worst mission in the game for potential crashes. Our bot just died because the game expects us to be in a tank. Please blow up, thank you. We went to level 8, which is good. This is one of the last sort of milestones that we're going to want to keep in mind for this. Our bots are dying, but it's not too bad. Toss another EMP to take that turret out. Revive the bot, capture the node. Revive the other bot. Our bots are just dying in the background. They tend to do that. And then we'll take this guy out.
Combat bots will do that.
Once the gate opens and we get inside, it's a whole lot less intense. We're also past the point that the game normally crashes at, so we're probably fine. I'd be surprised at this point. It'd have to be very unlucky. We've swapped to the flail for combat. You can see this is what we do with it. We use the charge boots to zip around and hit things, and it's lovely. Such a fun weapon. One of my favourites in the whole series.
It genuinely is an amazing weapon, the Scorpion Flail. Even casually, it's
so much fun.
It's a great weapon. You do have to be a little bit careful with it, because whilst you're using the flail, you can interrupt your iframes.
Yes.
Which means that some enemies will just murder you. I've lost PB pace runs to accidentally having my flail out.
Yeah. This is generally a very bot-intensive planet as well. The first mission we didn't need to, but the second mission, Bolt Cranks. This mission, Bolt Cranks. The Dread Challenge that we're going to do twice is Bolt Cranks again. Now, so it's a mission where you really want to get used to pulling up the map to double-check what your bots are doing, whether they're in the right position, whether they're attached to the bolts, all of that. It is very easy to assign a bot and then either bump a regroup, or maybe they weren't in the right position or whatever. Checking your mini-map to see if the bots are behaving needs to become second nature if you play the game like this, just because they can be so difficult. There's a turret hiding behind that dropship. You can accidentally aggro it on your way up and it'll shoot you, and it's annoying. And I was a bit quicker than the bot was. That's funny. So yeah, the Dread Challenge that we're doing is worth a lot of points, so we're going to do it twice. It has random weapons scattered around the battlefield. We want the flail, and we've got the flail, so that's good. If you've got all the weapons, it isn't random, but if there's a weapon missing, it'll randomly pick one of the ones you do own, right? So the mines are always back there, which means you've got a bit of a fail-safe, a bit of a backup. But the flail isn't guaranteed to spawn anywhere along the line, so you can have unfortunate missions where you've got to rely on the mines instead. We still want to get the flail to level 3 for like a couple of planets later. So we do want it to show up early on if it can. But even though the game gives you like diminishing returns on repeated missions, like I think it's half the dread points the second time you play a mission, this is still worth doing, right? This is still so much faster. One of our bots died. Hopefully we're going to keep an eye on the map. Okay, so that green dot is the other bot going backwards to try and take over. They can teleport when they want to, so we're just going to have to be patient. I think we should be right. We want to take out this guy here because he's the real concern. And that was fine. We finished up with Shah, and that was a good Shah, as Shah goes. I've got no complaints there.
Oh, that was a good Shah, and whilst we're reveling in our good Shah, I'll just read out some donations real quick.
Yeah, get one out.
We have $20 from Clock District, who says, "Give me that AGB action, $3.50 left now." Thank you, Clock District, for the $20. And we have $50 from, I assume, Everyday Aussie. Any Rift Apart New Game Plus AGB enjoyers? Thank you so much, Everyday, for the donation.
Thank you. So that mission, you blink and you miss it. It's supposed to be a big loop-de-loop. Instead, you clip through a wall and you mess up where your bots are supposed to queue and drop the queue and things. It's just a quick alternative to actually going around in a big circle. Sequence break and all that. This is a very bot-focused planet. This mission is all about bolt cranks again. That turret there, that guy walking around, he will ruin your day. He just murdered one of our bots in a cutscene. Because of course he did. So we want to drop some mines to get him out of the picture, like so. We want to get one more level into our flail somewhere along the line. We want it to be level 3 for the next boss, which isn't on this planet, so he's still a ways away. So we've got some time and some flexibility. But we just want to make sure the bots are all cooperating. Cool. Because this is another easy one where it's very easy to end up in a position where you're at the last bolt here, and then you look across the map and realize that the bot didn't turn the one right at the beginning or something like that. Can drop a few more mines here for a little bit more XP off of these big guys, and then we're done and we move on. There's one more hacking mission. Then there's another one where if you had the shield link, the bot's stuck on nothing here. They can do that. Please just enter the room. Yes, there we go.
Classic bots.
Yep.
And that's where some of the RNG of this stuff comes in. It's just how the bots are prepared to move. Again, if you talk to Muck, he'll tell you that the bots can be completely predicted, and he's just wrong.
Mukamanen is
Swedish
the
man
world
not here to defend himself.
Yeah. Mukamanen is the world record holder in like 3 of the 4 main categories, and the only reason he's not world record holder in the 4th is just because he hasn't bothered to come back and get all exterminator cards yet.
Yes. He also holds 1 of the 4 co-op categories.
Yes, true. Any percent. Almost done with this one.
With a certain danmcd holding the other 3.
Yes, with this Ben guy. This is another Landstalker mission. We can actually hop out of the Landstalker if we want here, and we move faster on foot now that we have charge boots. But our weapons aren't good enough to take out these anchors, so we have to use the Landstalker anyway. I had a theory that you could use the one weapon that we have that is strong enough, like hop out of the tank here after you destroy the 3rd anchor, and you charge boot straight to the last one instead of what we're doing, and you use the bot nuke. Sadly, you can't aim the bot nuke. The bots just pick a direction and throw. So it's completely impractical, and you can't actually do that as a reliable strat. Oh, no, hang on, we're not done with all. Got one more dread challenge.
Exist in co-op? I can't remember.
Nope, because you don't have bots in co-op. You have a damage boost instead.
Right.
Which we'll actually get to show off because we've got solo co-op now. So that's
I'm just sitting here thinking, like, I wonder if in co-op with the, because you could aim things in co-op.
Yeah.
So I shouldn't think about routing whilst you're playing the game. Go back to running the game.
Sure. This is a big Swarmer-based mission. This is why we still have Shock Mod on. You may have noticed that I bought another mod in a vendor earlier on this planet, but I haven't put it on yet because I knew we were doing this mission, and if you don't have Shock Mod on this mission, it's just so much worse. One more enemy? There we go. And that's Orcs on finish, so we get to move on to the Crusader Tournament.
Nice.
The Crusader Tournament starts with a limited weapon mission. You only get to use the mine launcher, and hey, wouldn't you know it, we've been leveling the mine launcher. This isn't why we've been leveling it, it's just a nice coincidence that we've got a good weapon for this. It's kind of strategy. You don't want to just place mines down wherever because it's not unlimited ammo, but your ammo does regenerate, so you've got a little bit of flexibility. You do want to just sort of keep an eye out for where enemies are going to be. I want to keep an eye on my XP in particular because we are going to go to level 9 somewhere in this challenge, and we're going to go to level 10 somewhere on this planet. We went to level 9 in round 2, which is good. That's very early, which means we don't have to take the time to grind XP in the Dread Challenge on this one. So after we finish the boss, we can just take the Dread Challenge as quickly as we like, which is wonderful, because we're all about going fast.
Yeah, the XP route for the mines is a little bit flexible, because on the last mission of this planet is an amazingly good grind spot. However, if you can avoid having to waste time grinding, then that's, obviously optimal.
Yep, especially because the grind is very laggy.
Yes. Which is something to mention. So, in chat before, we were talking about the fact that we're playing this game on the PlayStation 3. This game did originally come out on the PlayStation 2, and it was ported to the PlayStation 3. So there are some subtle differences. There are some places where some effects don't play, and there are differences in just sort of generalness. It's a little bit more laggy. There are places, obviously, where you can hard lock the console. But it's a much faster to play with the SSD load time, so... it's worth it. Oh, I see. That's mean.
We shoot that, we drop a mine, we move on. We shoot that, we drop a mine, and we move on. We both are bots to do their jobs here. We check the map to make sure they're both going around in a circle, which they are. We look down at the ground and shoot the barrels so that they explode off-screen and cause less lag. We jump back in so that we can... gets a little bit more XP into the mines here on the enemies that actually give XP. Sort of like that. And then we have Reactor, the next boss. Here the Flail is our best friend. If you jump and use the mid-air attack, the hitbox is weird and lines up with the Reactor's hitbox in weird ways. And you can end up doing damage multiple times per attack. It's a bit weird and not very consistent. but it gets the job done much faster than doing it with the mines. And the mines are our second best option for combat at this point. And now we move into heavy metal. This is a challenge themed around big enemies that give lots of ammo and lots of XP, but they take a lot of damage. This is where we're going to get our mines up to level 10. We've still got most of the way to go on this level, but it's fine. We've got heaps of enemies to go. Heaps of XP. And we've swapped to the freeze mod now. This is important for a few reasons. It slows enemies down, which is nice. It causes a bit less lag than shock mod, which is also nice. But the main reason we're using it is because organic enemies have a death animation where they fall backwards dramatically and fizzle out into particles. If we kill an enemy with the freeze mod, they don't play that animation. They just explode into icy chunks, which means they're off-screen quicker, which means the game can spawn in new enemies quicker. And that actually saves a substantial amount of time throughout the game, what with all of the wave-based missions. Here, if we leave these enemies here for a little longer, that's where we would grind, and the game would infinitely spawn zombies until we actually progressed by killing the enemies we needed to kill. But we didn't need to, which means we avoided a lot of lag.
Yeah, so those zombies there will just spawn infinitely.
Yep, forever.
Which, if you're playing this casually, can catch you out, because you might
Yes.
be overwhelmed by the zombies and not realize that you need to kill specific enemies.
We are quite comfy on XP, I think. We've got... Oh no, we're going to be slightly under. It's not an issue. There's heaps of enemies before we need them at level 10. But that'll be coming up.
We do need them at level 10 on the next planet, though.
Yeah.
But there's a little bit of slack, which is good.
We've got some flexibility. And so we're on to the Valix Belt. The first mission here has one of the first actual proper out-of-bounds. There's not a lot of them in this game. But there's a little section of terrain that we can sort of charge onto out here that's actually solid in some bits. It's not solid everywhere, and there's certain polygons that are solid but you can't stand on, or they're not solid and you can fall. But we can go around here like this. We can charge out to here. This is normally invisible, which is weird. It's safer than it looks.
Yeah.
Hop up this way. And
it's
this
worse
saves
when
us...
the terrain doesn't spawn in at all and you're doing it blind.
We can skip some grind rails, skip some platforming, and head straight over this way. We're going to drop a couple of mines just to get some XP. This should do it. There we go. Stalker Mine Launcher, level 10. Our mines are now bigger, and each mine drops another mine. One of the bots should capture no. This will be useful for reasons that I will explain in a couple of missions, but first we've got a hovership mission coming up. I don't like this one. I don't think anyone really does. Mobius is faster than anyone. Mukamana is faster than me. I just don't like practicing it because it's not fun. These enemies here scatter to all corners of the earth when you hit the ground somewhere, anywhere near them. And they love to just hide in nooks and crannies around the map, and you have to turn around and track them back again.
And this is an example of where... Well, I was just going to say this is another example of where practicing the ILs gives you good experience for the main game. Because the optimal way to do this is just do the IL. Yep. The same with the turret missions, the same with a couple of these... Most of these vehicle missions, or all of them, is to just do what they do in the IL. And so it's a good chance to get to practice your running segments. Which is another great thing about Deadlocked as a game, is that you can skip to any mission from the menu. And so it's very easy to practice any specific mission or any specific place that you find you need a little bit more practice at. Makes it a very approachable speed game.
Definitely. A good time in this, I don't know. If I get over 1 minute 30, I'll be embarrassed, but I don't think that was too bad. None of the enemies hit. I didn't see what the in-game time was, but I'll just pretend it was good. So, this mission is where we finally get to use the level 10 mines. This is why we've been leveling them up the whole game. We can use them to flip. We sort of line ourselves up, we put a mine down, we line ourselves up and put a mine down. We line ourselves up, put a mine down, and we clip through doors like that, and then we charge into the fence.
Eventually.
This comes with some restrictions. We can clip through doors. We cannot clip through walls. If it's part of the level geometry rather than some sort of moving object, the game will kill us when we try to clip. So it's a good idea to not do that. it's sort of
Some
a
places
hassle.
it's easier to clip than others too. Like it's a bit
Yeah.
inconsistent.
No, those doors back
is
there
why-
are fine. And most of the things along the line are pretty okay. There's a couple spots in New Game Plus where you've got some angled force fields that are really tricky to clip through, but nothing too crucial to the run.
Yeah. And this is why we don't clip with small mines. Small mines are just significantly harder and a lot less consistent to be able to clip. We have reasonably consistent setups for every door in this game. You can insta-clip every door and the ILs do it.
Yep.
But you can't necessarily do that with the small mines.
Yep, and like this building here is where we're going. There's a door around the back, and it'd be so nice if we didn't have to go through the door and we could just clip through that wall on the right there. But no, the game says no. The game will murder us for it if we try. So we don't try that. We go to the end here. We have the bot turn the bolt, and we will be moving on to possibly my least favourite planet. Torval. Oh no, we've got a Dread Challenge. What am I on about? This one. It looks very similar to the one that we just did with the first bit of clipping. We want to regroup our bots as we go to make sure that they follow us instead of taking the time to do combat. Because they can get stuck down here and we really don't want them to. We want to get them in range of the bolt so that they can start turning, so that we can clip through. And this time we actually do need to turn all of the bolts. It won't do to just get in position and... did that? One of the bolts is being strange, but that's alright. It won't do to just get to the end because there technically isn't a single end zone. That's fine, that bot finished. So they worked reasonably in parallel. You can get a bit stuck and loose in time here, but it's not too bad. Ooh, we almost got a level up there. But that means we're going to get it on Torval. So now we're on to Torval. I was getting ahead of myself a bit, but this is now my least favourite planet. This first mission isn't an issue. I'm fine with this first mission. You just got to take out these turrets and hunt the orbs that they leave behind. EMP them, take them out, and the bots will do their job, and we can move on. Mission 2 sucks. Mission 2 is called Seek and Destroy. It spawns a bunch of drones that fly around this big open area, and they give you a hover bike so that you can chase them down and kill them, but the hover bike has useless guns that don't do any real amount of damage. The drones don't all spawn in at once, and you have to chase them across the whole map, and it can take, like, I don't know, upwards of 2 minutes casually. We have strategies to try and deal with this. Really? You just had to kill my bot there, didn't you? Like, hack. Take this guy out. Grab our mine so that we're ready. Right off the bat, in Seek and Destroy, the game already cheats. The drones get to move in that cutscene, and we don't. So we restart so that the cutscene doesn't play. We take that guy out first. We hop off the bike. We walk around in circles to try and manipulate the AI. And we've got a whole group of them moving here at once, which is lovely. And then we hop over this way. We sit in this sort of sweet spot here, and we watch as the stars spawn in and explode. In theory, not so much in practice.
Classic.
That's alright. Some of them have followed them back. We want to spawn a couple more enemies in, I think. The game's been a bit weird and a bit inconsistent, and this is why I don't like this challenge. I'm going to put a couple more mines down just to play it safe. They're going to follow me in. You've got to stay close to the mines, so there we go. That's what I want to see. A couple more enemies. So the mines don't despawn. No, they won't work unless you're in range. Now, that's where all the mines are, following the enemy. And now there's probably... Oh, no, there's still some. So, this... It's still better than doing it casually. That was less than a minute. You can do it in under 30 seconds, but like that's still better than doing it the casual route and chasing them on the hover bike. This mission makes very heavy use of the fact that you can despawn enemies. We don't want to do the combat here. We don't want our bots to die because they're made of tissue paper at this point. We haven't bought any upgrades for the bots. One of them just died there. We want to wait a second for one of them to spawn near us, and then we want to leg it. Where are the other...
Seek and Destroy can be done in 9 seconds according to the IL level board.
Yep, New Game Plus has some wonderful strategies for Seek and Destroy. You get to use the rocket launcher and do some really fun things. I'm going to try and jump off this turret. I'm not going to get it first try because I'm not Swedish enough to do that. If one of my bots is going to bother to... What are you doing, bot?
See, I'm aware that getting that jump is really hard, but I feel like I managed to get it like 50% of the time.
Right.
Like there's definitely
don't.
a timing there.
There's definitely timing, and I should practice it more, because Mooka can get it every single time, but I'm not Mooka Munnin. And we have one more mission in the campaign. We've got to blow up a statue, which means wandering up and having our bots do a thing. The bots are pretty safe here. There's a dropship that will show up in a minute, and as long as we didn't aggro that turret on the other side, they're not in any real danger. We do this, we take out this dropship, and we're good. There's going to be a countdown timer in a minute. That doesn't mean anything. We just got to not die in the next 10 seconds, I suppose. Because you don't have to get out of range of the statue. You can sit on top of it if you want.
That's what I tend to do, just to rub it in that the explosion does nothing.
I like to just try and get a little more XP into the flail, take out the turrets because they're worth a little bit.
Oh, but you got a 5-second time loss because of the
Yeah, I did.
You didn't time that properly. Shame.
This is the other reason I can't stand 4-volt. This is turret trouble. This used to not be part of the Dread Challenge route. It's my fault that it's in here, and I'm sorry to Mooka because he's the only other person that runs this category. I
run this category sometimes.
Well, it's been a bit.
It's 4 months. It's been 4 months.
True. Which, okay, in fairness, that's more recently than I've really put much time into the game. But the turret in here is just not good. It tries to lock on and lead its shots, which is helpful until it's not, when the enemies don't move in the way that the basic AI can cope with. So you'll be aiming perfectly at the enemy, and the game just won't put the shots in the direction that you're aiming because it's trying to be clever and helpful and aim the shots at where it thinks the enemy is going to be. The enemies here are mostly cooperating. They spawn in the same spots, but their movement is random. So, Mobius, of course, holds the IL World Record. I have no idea how he managed to get the time he got on this one. It is just nuts. But we're almost done. We take out 3 of these guys, and that'll spawn in these 2 big executioners. And this has been a reasonable turret trouble. I've got no real issues with that. A 119. It's slow, but as long as you do it faster than a minute and a half, you are comfortably ahead of doing the old route perfectly optimal.
And again, just to rub in how good Mobius is, Mobius has a 105 for that IL.
Yep.
Which, Dan did that pretty great. I don't know where you find 25 additional in-game seconds.
Yeah, 15, but even then, Okay, so this is another limited weapon challenge thing. This is Murphy's Law. The game picks the weapons in specific rounds, so it's always the same. And the sniper rifle was the first one. It's fine. It does a lot of damage. You point and you shoot. The flail is great. The mines are wonderful, and we're going to be strategic with where we put the mines. There's no enemies there, but there will be. 2, 3, 4. We're trying to not put more than 8 big mines down at once. And we want a bunch of mines because here we got the shotgun, which doesn't do much damage, and we'd rather have the mines do the work. We've got the rocket launcher, which is fine. It does a decent amount of damage.
Now, the reason we don't want to do more than 8 mines at once is because they'll start to despawn after 8.
Yep, and that's just a waste of ammo at that point. The rocket launcher is at level 0, technically. We don't own the weapon, so it's not gaining any XP, which at least means we don't have to worry about level ups. But then the insult to injury is that the game gives us the dual vipers at the end here, which are at level 1, which is just terrible, and it gives us 3 big executioners. So if we didn't have those mines down, this would take so long. We can walk all the way over here and maybe he'll follow, but that was okay. A 119 is acceptable. And this mission is a great big auto-scroller in reality. That timer down the bottom is how long we got to survive with bombs dropping down on us. If we were playing in New Game Plus, we could hop over there and go through that force field. And I mean, we could do that here as well, but we want the XP. That still sort of matters to us.
Yeah, in New Game Plus, this is a bathroom break. In any percent, you just sort of cry a little bit on the inside.
Yeah, you cry a little bit on the inside and you say, hey, Ben, do you have anything to say? Any donations?
Whoa! And I say whoa, because I want to just remind you who we are. We are Oz Speedruns, and we do speedrunning events to raise money for charity. For ASM 2021, we're raising money for Beyond Blue, a charity promoting good mental health through the raising awareness and the reducing of stigma around mental health issues. If you'd like to donate, the link to do so is donate.ozspeedruns.com, or you can click it in chat when I type it correctly. Good job, me. I would like to tell you about some of our upcoming incentives because I have a timer on my screen telling me how long I can just sort of waffle for. Coming up, we have Ratchet Clank Rift Apart category change to New Game Plus all gold bolts. We need another $300 to make the Mobius run this just amazingly cool category. Like Rift Apart, if you haven't seen it because it's a new game, is a pretty awesome speed run. It's heavily movement focused, and there's just some really cool clips and tricks in there, and we want to see Mobius have to do more of that. There is also we need another $23 to make them play Asteroids in BioShock 2. So just anyone can come in, snipe that, round it out. Super Monkey Ball, there is a language choice incentive. Currently Italian is winning. And World's Hardest Game, we need $684 to make that happen on the schedule. I've seen HS Blue play that game. It is a fantastic game. He makes it look so easy. He was accused of cheating. Like it was a big drama. It's amazing. You've got to watch that.
It'd be a great way to finish off the marathon.
It really would be. I just got a $100 donation in from Anonymous while I was talking. Still enjoying all of the runs. Let me have some Ratchet and Clank. Put enough to meet the Asteroids, and then the rest of the world's hardest game. I've got you, fam.
So I'm jumping in the teleporter here, not because I'm bad at the game, but because it forces him to play a taunt animation that can skip that shield. He can do the shield twice, and we skipped one of them, so that still saves a little bit of time. We can pile some mines up here like so, and swap for the flail to finish him off. 26 seconds, which is, it's fine. It's much faster than doing it casually. And then the one dread challenge we're doing here is the corkscrew. This mission, for the longest time, was a real problem for any percent, because it would softlock.
You're not a true Ratchet Deadlocked runner until you lose a PB pace run to a softlock on corkscrew.
Yep. And there was always theories, if you kill these enemies, it'll cause the soft lock, or if you hit these orbs, it'll cause the soft lock, or whatever. Everyone had theories, and then everyone would get proven wrong. I still don't know what causes it. I think we've managed to work out how to avoid it. If you reset the console between runs, essentially, you're not going to run into whatever causes the problem, as best I understand it. It hasn't been an issue for me since, but there's not a big sample size, so maybe it's still just waiting and it's going to spring up on me Monday.
Maybe you at home can be the one to solve the corkscrew softlock mystery.
Maybe. And that's that Vindicator tournament done, and we are on to Stygia.
Everyone's favourite auto-scroller.
Yeah, Mobius thinks it has something to do with spawns on first platform, and maybe it does. Speaking of Mobius, so this mission is another Landstalker one. You've got to take out these bombs. Oh, lovely.
Thanks, Darren, man. Good to see you.
Thank you very much. You've got to take out these bombs. We're ignoring all the enemies and just side jumping to move as fast as we can. If you look in the background, you can see lightning bolts and meteorites and terrible weather in general. The meteorites actually have collision. The meteorites can actually deal damage to the bombs and blow them up. It is theoretically possible for a meteorite to spawn next to and to destroy the last of these bombs, and the world record IL for this by Mobius has that happen. I don't think anyone's. Why are you doing this game? I don't think anyone's ever going to beat that. Take that IL from him, because, like, what are the odds? Don't know what my mortars were doing there. They didn't want to cooperate. You're supposed to be able to sort of hit the ground next to the bomb, and it will. The area of effect will take it out without you needing to full on. Yeah, sort of like that. But that was a bit odd. This mission is a bit of a nightmare because the bots love to go under the platforms and get stuck. So I'm going to be paying close attention to my map as I go here, making sure bots spawn in and attach to bolts the way they're supposed to. They seem to be going okay, they're cooperating, that's good. This is another spot where it's easy to lose time and think, oh no, my bots are terrible, why are my bots doing this, the bots are RNG, and so on and so forth. But they've cooperated here nicely. The next mission is another one where we use the hover ship, and the bots act really weirdly. Like, I couldn't even begin to explain why they act the way they do. But we go down, fly down here, regroup the bots, and then manually assign 2 more targets, all of the targets over there, and then we fly out of the way of the enemy so they despawn, and we wait. We open up the map, and we see if the bots split up. If we've done this right, the bots will begin hacking their next target before they actually get in position. I don't know why it does this. It's not 100% consistent either, but at minimum, if you've at least gotten it partly right, because I think it can work on one of the bots but not both, you'll do the mission in under a minute. And if it's worked completely, it'll be 47 seconds or something, which is what we're after, and what we'll be keeping an eye out for. 47, that's what we want to see. And then we've got one more bit of combat, which would be a great time for another donation, if we've got one before Miraxis.
Yeah, Stygia is really interesting because I believe it's the only planet that doesn't have any dread challenges.
Yes, that's
like
correct.
You do the mission and then you leave, and it's not that we're skipping anything. We see 100% of what Stygia has to offer.
I think there might be like some amount of data in the game's files to suggest that there was one. Isaki was doing some weird stuff with Quit Exploit and had a save file set to like Hovership Madness or something, I don't know. This is Miraxis. Someone has done us the wonderful favour of locking up our combat bots. We are free.
Yeah, don't need them.
We are finally free. We don't want to go into that building and rescue the combat bot. We just want to go here to the Puma, we want to take out these enemies, and we want to finish the mission.
Because when you're free, there's nothing better than going for a drive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Hovership Carnage, that's what it was. The game does sadly give us our first bot. It thinks we rescued him in that mission, so he's here, which is probably for the best because you've got to turn bolts, and it's quicker to just have the bots do that in this mission. We drive up here. The bot follows mostly along. We want to take a second here because he was a bit slow, but if you time it all right, you'll be near this next bolt. When the bolt finishes like that, he'll teleport straight to you and attach to the second bolt like so, and you can move on.
Yeah, this is a good example of where we abuse the fact that this is a PlayStation 2 game, so you get far enough away and the enemies just despawn.
Yep.
You do have to be careful in a couple of places because while the enemy despawns, the enemy's collision doesn't despawn. So if an enemy is on top of the bolt crank, your bot can just get stuck.
Yep. And this is the only mission we're going to be doing casually here. The first mission, we skipped most of it just by jumping over the fence. This next mission, we're going to skip most of it. We're going to go through this door that I think is meant to open up in multiplayer because it's not a real part of Collision. We're going to climb
otherwise
up here.
This would be horrible.
Yeah. Oh, our bot teleported to us, so that might be a deal breaker for that strat. I'll clip through anyway, see if it cooperates. If I can clip through anyway. Really? Come on.
You're going to go for the ultimate swag strats in the next mission.
Well, yes, of course.
Of course.
If let's just restart the challenge so that I know the bot's going to work at the end of all that anyway, because, like, you saw nothing. That mission didn't happen. It was a bad dream.
But personally, I think that is the least consistent mind clip in the entire game. Like, as I said before, different clips are just easier or harder, seemingly randomly.
Yeah.
And I personally have a lot of trouble with this one.
Marathon is what gets me in New Game Plus. And this next mission, the bot's in the cage there, you can see, we've got to stand on a button and wait for it to slowly lower down. So instead, we're going to do IL strats and clip through this door. These strats were found by...
one contribution to the speedrunning of this game.
Yep. I'm going to try that again. You can go down there and clip with mines, but if you hyperstack at just the right angle, you can go through a gap in the collision like that. First try. And then we're going to do
Ben Strat.
Yeah, and then we're going to do Speed Trap twice. This is a mission where you just drive through all the rings and we can skip a ring at a time because we're playing on the easiest difficulty. I'm the only person who bothers to go for Ben Strats in runs because...
Technically, it's slower RTA.
Exactly. They're the IL strategies, but like the ILs only work through in-game time, which the menus don't contribute to. So you lose about a second if done optimally the first try. You lose a bit more if you restart to try Ben Strats again like I did there. I don't hold the world record in any percent anymore, and that might be why.
I'm pretty sure Muck took it back by more than a second, so...
True. We've got to do this mission again. That's another 50 seconds of downtime, really, if we can throw it back to Ben.
Yo, no worries. We literally just got a donation in right as that happened. It's as if they were omnipotent. We
Fantastic.
have $100 from Club who says, new donation record, let's go. Put all of this towards world's hardest game, let's go. I think, though... Club I'm pretty sure the donation record was $13k and $69, so we're not quite there yet. You, at home, could push us over that funny number record, but we did just break 13k. Massive shout-outs to everyone who helped make this happen. Massive shout-outs to Club someone who's been doing some work behind the scenes. I know that he put together the host dashboard that I'm reading this donation from right now. So what a champ, what a legend. Give him some love in chat. Everyone pat yourselves on the back. Let's keep this going.
This has been fantastic. Thank you, everyone. Okay, and that brings Maractus to a close over here. I'll get a couple of barrels, just for the sake of it. And then we move on to the Liberator Tournament. This is the last of the big tournaments in the game. We're going to have the last of the Executioner bosses. Exterminators. We walk backwards into the shuttle, we move on, and the first challenge here is one more limited weapon challenge. This one's explosives themed. We need the shock mod on this because it's full of swarmers and it would take us hours to do otherwise. The shock mod sometimes doesn't cooperate, but generally speaking, we want to shoot it once and all the swarmers on screen want to die at the same time. A couple of them survived there, you can see. So sometimes it just does that. And I don't really know why.
Gotta love when we just don't know why.
Yeah, exactly.
I would love video game. Insomniac to one day just sit down and do some real interviews on the ins and outs of this game, because there's some stuff that just must have been fascinating about its development.
Oh yeah, definitely. It swaps us to the B6 Obliterator. This is a weapon that you can buy right at the start of the game. It's not good. It's especially not good at level 1, but the shock mod does the heavy lifting for us. That guy survived, which we didn't want. But we let the shock mod take out all the swarmers. These guys like to keep their distance, but they'll close in on you after a few seconds. And then we've got some turrets, and that will be that for this mission when the last of the turrets die. The next mission has a fun gimmick where as you kill enemies, you move faster and you shoot faster. Which can look a little bit split. I don't think it affects the fire speed of the flail. I'm going to spend this mission looking down at the floor and steering via the minimap because it just helps with the lag. There'll be a bit of that in the Dread challenges for this planet as well. Because at a certain point, you know where the enemies are going to spawn. You don't need to be looking at them. You can just sort of jump and shoot a bit.
And that's actually a huge thing for co-op, right? Lag in single player is meh. Lag in co-op is atrociously bad. Yeah. And looking at the floor really does make a difference.
Yep. It's not good, it's super generous, apparently. So, I can agree with that.
We're just too kind to this game.
Yeah.
It is a great game. Like, I really recommend people play it.
And it's even behaving itself on stream. We have had minimal bot issues and we've got no crashes. It's great. This is Ace Hardlight. He is a jerk, both in lore and this fight. So he puts a shield up and he heals himself. That's
we haven't discussed
bad
the lore
enough. No, we haven't discussed the lore. There's not a lot. He puts a shield up, he eats some health, and then he gets up and he puts the shield down. And he'll do some stuff, he'll teleport. We want to keep this missile alive. That's easier said than done. The missile, if it wants to, can just teleport straight to me. He stops putting the shield down after he heals. If he gets his shield back up here, I have to... Oh, no, he cooperated. That was good. Because otherwise he can just sit there and, like, you have to wait until he decides he wants to put the shield down and let you damage him again.
Arguably, we skipped one of the best cutscenes in the game just then. There are some great cutscenes in this game, right? Like,
yeah.
I'm going to make Dan talk about the lore because he talks about the game too much. So this game... The 3-second cliff notes of this game is that Ratchet has been kidnapped by Totally Not Fox to compete in this death match against their in-house exterminator team, which is why we fight, which is who Reactor, Shell Shock, the Eviscerator, and Ace Hardlight is.
It's a reality show gladiator contest thing, basically.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, and that's it. That's why that's their whole reasoning for stripping Clank. That Clank, rather than being on our back, is like our team manager and is telling us what the objectives are and coordinating us through our runs.
Yep.
Which is why this is Ratchet Gladlocked and not Ratchet and Clank Gladlocked. So I guess we're going to get kicked out of the Ratchet block now. I'm sorry to disappoint everyone.
Oh well. This is the best Ratchet and Clank game because there are no Clank sections.
There are no Clank sections.
And
I would argue, and I have argued, that this is the best spin-off game.
Right. It's not a spin-off game. It's a mainline title.
I mean, we can argue about that.
We can. This is the last Dread Challenge. After this, we will have all the Dread points we need. The gimmick on this one is kind of like the first Dread Challenge we did. Our health is draining, and so is our ammo. Again, we're still on the easiest difficulty. That hasn't changed. The health loss is still completely ignorable. The ammo loss is very ignorable because Flal is very ammo efficient. Mines are very ammo efficient. And the strategy for the rest of this mission, because those yellow walls are going to be closing in around us, is to spam mines. We're only allowed to place 8 mines down, but when a level 10 mine explodes, it drops a smaller mine, and that mine drops a smaller mine again. And the miniature ones don't count towards that limit of 8. So you can get the 8 big ones, but you can get even more smaller ones, and you end up with a big cloud of death that can react to where enemies spawn way before we can. So we just make sure to keep an eye on the mines, and we're good. On the subject of
Big Cloud of Death, that's another slight difference between the PS2 version and the PS3 version.
Yeah.
A lot of effects didn't make the cut. This level is meant to be green. It's meant to be green, like gassy smoke surrounding Ratchet, and it's just not there on the PS3.
Because the Insomniac devs were wizards and did a lot of low-level hardware stuff that simply couldn't be ported over to the PS3 in quite the same way.
Yeah, it's one of the more noticeable bits alongside the effects. It's a lot of effects that are different, such as the Landstalker's bullets look slightly different on the PS3.
So we are off to the Ghost Station. Very spooky plan. This is where we're going to start our new game run later on, so keep an eye out for that. But this is another planet full of skips. So this is another grind rail mission. The grind rail goes over to here eventually. We have charge boots. We have hyper stacking. We don't like grind rails. We're going to go over here like that. 8 seconds. This mission will crash if you charge boot too quickly.
Yeah,
that happens
that's
to
another
everybody.
Notorious hard lock that you just forget what you're doing. You double tap to charge boot and you go, I just lost my PB pace run. Thanks, game.
Yep. Because that happens like we're an hour and 12 minutes in.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a bunch of bolts, but we clipped through a force field instead because we don't want to go throwing bolts. This is a big mission that, again, would have been an open thing in multiplayer. This force field doesn't even open, it's just closed off, but we can clip through. Saves us doing a bunch of objectives, and we can just zip towards the end. Shoot a bunch of big computer screens, because for some reason that does something. And
I think in lore they're controlling the force fields that stop the hover ship from taking off.
That would probably be it. The next mission is a hover ship mission. And it's the last hover ship mission in the game. The last vehicle mission, right? This one, there's no real skips. We just have to play it quickly. Another one with a route sorted out by Mobius himself. You got to take out the green things. The green boxes can't be hit. Well, they can take damage from the missiles, but the missiles will not home in on them. So you have to aim your normal shots carefully. The turrets do. The missiles do home in on the turrets, so that's handy. So I've mentioned Mobius a couple of times already. I've mentioned Lookerman a couple of times already. Mukamanan is the world record holder in most full single-player categories. Like, he is hands down the best at what he does. And Mobius is the world record holder in every IL, and is hands down the best at what he does there. The pair of them have reshaped the game, honestly. Like, the speedrun as it stands today is big chunks of Muka and Mobius.
You are, however, underestimating the fact that you hold most of the co-op world records and thus form the third part of this triangle of dope Deadlocked runners.
I guess I'll put it out there. This game has local-only co-op, so that's a big reason why co-op isn't very active. If you have a friend or a sibling that you can bribe or something, co-op is also very accessible at the moment. It's just not as fun because it's horribly laggy. But we are on to the final level, final planet, sort of. The Dread Zone Station interior. Speaking of Mobius and Muka, they found some strats in these levels with some more out of bounds. There are
these
gaps.
Used to be terrible.
Yeah, these would kill runs, these planets. There are gaps in the collision, so we can slope intercept up here, just jump out, and hyperstack our way towards the room at the end. We're out in the big void. We don't want to fall. That is a bottomless pit. If I drop one of these inputs, I have to hyperstack a whole bunch more to get back up, so I'm going to try not to drop any of these inputs. But because we're coming from the outside in like this, none of the enemies spawn in the final room. We haven't hit whatever trigger or bounding box would normally cause them to spawn in, so the room is very safe. There would normally be laser beams, there would be enemies in turrets, there'd be executioners standing around. We can just sort of sit here and chill, and the bots are safe, and it's nice and consistent. The time save from movement is minimal, a few seconds, but the time save from consistency is just lovely, delightful. We want to look away from the reactor explosion, because cool guys don't look at explosions, because explosions cause lag. And this is West Generator. West Generator has the best music in the game. I will accept no arguments. And this used to be the worst mission, right?
This
Torval
was
is
the
my
worst
least
mission.
favorite, but this used to be just the worst, because it kills runs and it's right at the end. So if you've seen some of those big floating lobstery enemies with the machine gun hands, they're called laserbacks, and they will mess up your bots. And the end room with the generator in this one is normally full of infinitely respawning laserbacks. And I don't know whose idea it was, but like, it was in every category, and it would ruin your day because you had to deal with it. Even in New Game Plus, where your bots have armor upgrades and you've got good weapons, a laserback can still just be difficult and spawn in and shoot a bot at the wrong time and flatten them. But we've got a nice, peaceful,
it's so chill now.
room.
It's even better in New Game Plus, not New Game Plus, in co-op, where you can just run around and press triangle to place them down. You don't rely on the bots.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to take a second, though, and just interrupt us and say that we have tied our all-time highest donation ever.
Oh, lovely.
Not single donation, but donation total of $13,069.69. Nice.
Perfect.
So thank you, Sten, for your $57.37, saying it is a tie. Appreciate you, buddy.
So that was one more out of bounds strat. You can do that one without the hyperstacking, but you sort of got to thread a needle, and it's another strat that I'm not Swedish enough to do. And we are closing in on the end of the run. It's fantastic to see all of these donations. So glad that we got to beat that last record, see how high we can get it.
Yeah, it's great to see the community really coming out.
We EMP that guy, we destroy the core, set the bombs, take out that turret, please. We got to level 9 on Flal. That's okay, we get a little bit more damage for the final boss. Our bots are going to keep doing their thing. 2 more bombs, and we're going to stand safely behind this highly explosive barrel. It's fine, he won't hurt us. We don't want him to shoot the bots, but that's okay. He's good, he's behaving. We'll grab the flail. We'll use the bot nuke. This can kill us. We don't want it to. It looks like we're fine. I don't know what causes it to do that, but sometimes that happens. We're going to place some mines down. I will call time momentarily when the UI fades out. Ben knows when it is, but I will call it out.
I mean, I'm on a 10-second delay, so you need to call it.
All right. And time.
Time. GG, my dude. GG.
There we go.
Cool.
That was good. I was happy with that.
Do you have any last-minute shout-outs before we run away, because the marathon is now behind schedule?
Oh, no. Well, technically, I wasn't underestimated, so I'm okay with how that run went. No major issues. Bots behaved themselves. Thanks for having me on. I'll be sticking around as host for a couple more runs, and then I'll be back, I guess, for a little Deadlocked encore with solo co-op.
Yes,
thank you for having me.
No worries. From me, that's it from me for hosting. I'll be back to commentate solo co-op. But otherwise, let's smash this out. Let's get New Game Plus all gold bolts. Let's meet World's Hardest Game. I know we can do it. We've got only a little bit left on both of those. And I'll see you in chat.